The fluorescent lights of the department store buzzed overhead as Marcus, Wellington, pulled his baseball cap lower, adjusting the worn jacket that concealed his $1,000 watch. At 62, the billionaire founder of Wellington Retail Empire had made these undercover visits a monthly ritual, but today something felt different. The moment he stepped through the automatic doors of his flagship Boston location, he heard it, a sound that pierced through the ambient noise of shopping carts and scanner beeps. Someone was crying. Marcus had built his fortune on understanding people, on recognizing the subtle signs of distress that others overlooked. In boardrooms, he could read a competitor's weakness in the twitch of an eye. But here, in the home goods section, surrounded by towels and bedsheets, the sound of genuine anguish stopped him cold. He followed the muffled sobs around a corner display and found her, a young woman, barely 20, crouched behind a clearance rack with her face buried in her hands. Her Wellington retail name tag identified her as Sophia M., sales associate. Something about her seemed achingly familiar, though Marcus couldn't immediately place why. Her dark curls fell forward as her shoulders shook, and she clutched a crumpled piece of paper in her trembling fingers. Marcus approached quietly, his years of business negotiations forgotten in the face of raw human suffering. "Miss, are you all right?" His voice was gentle, stripped of the authority that usually commanded conference rooms. Sophia's head snapped up, revealing tear-stained cheeks and eyes widened with embarrassment. She scrambled to her feet, hastily wiping her face with the back of her hand. I'm so sorry. I just needed a minute. Please don't report me. I can't lose this job." The desperation in her voice tugged at something deep in Marcus's chest. "I'm not going to report you," he assured her, holding up his hands in a peaceful gesture. "I'm just a customer who's concerned." "What's wrong?" Sophia looked at him for a long moment, as if weighing whether she could trust this stranger in the baseball cap. Something in his eyes must have convinced her because she let out a shaky breath. "It's my mom," she whispered. "She's sick, really sick, and I just found out her insurance won't cover the treatment she needs. I'm trying to work extra shifts, but it's not enough. It's never enough." Marcus felt the floor shift beneath him. "Your mother? Where does she work?" "She's a housekeeper," Sophia said, pride and sorrow mixing in her voice. "She's worked for the same family for 15 years. They're good to her, but she never wanted to burden them with her problems. That's just who she is, always taking care of everyone else." The pieces clicked into place with devastating clarity. "What's your mother's name?" Rosa Martinez." The air left Marcus's lungs in a rush. Rosa. His Rosa, who had kept his sprawling Beacon Hill mansion spotless for 15 years, who had listened to him talk about his late wife during those first terrible years of grief, who had somehow known to leave his favorite tea on his desk during particularly stressful weeks. Rosa, who had never once mentioned she had a daughter struggling to make ends meet, working in one of his stores. Rosa, who had never asked him for anything beyond the ability to do her job well. Marcus's mind reeled back through recent months. Had Rosa seemed tired? Had she moved more slowly? How had he missed the signs? He'd been so consumed with quarterly reports and expansion plans that he'd failed to truly see the woman, who had become part of his daily life. "The treatment she needs," Marcus said carefully, keeping his voice steady despite the emotion threatening to crack it. "How much are we talking about?" Sophia laughed bitterly, clutching the paper tighter. $200,000. Might as well be $2 million. I've been applying for loans, starting fundraisers online, but I'm drowning. And Mom keeps saying she's fine. That I shouldn't worry, but I see her struggling. I see the pain she tries to hide." Her voice broke again. "I'm terrified I'm going to lose her, and there's nothing I can do." Marcus had written checks for millions without blinking. He'd donated to countless charities, funded hospital wings, established scholarships. But standing in the middle of his own store, looking at the daughter of a woman who had quietly been part of his life for 15 years, the full weight of his privilege crashed over him. Rosa had never asked for help because that wasn't who she was. She'd raised her daughter to be strong, to work hard, to never expect handouts, even when the world seemed determined to crush them. "Sophia," he said slowly, "I need to tell you something." Over the next few minutes, Marcus revealed his identity, watching Sophia's expression cycle through disbelief, shock, and mortification. But he didn't let her apologize or feel embarrassed. Instead, he made a decision that had nothing to do with business strategy and everything to do with the kind of man he wanted to be. "Your mother's treatment will be covered," he said firmly. "All of it. And I'm setting up a medical fund to ensure she has access to whatever care she needs going forward." Sophia stared at him, tears streaming freely now. "Mr. Wellington, we can't accept—" "Yes, you can," Marcus interrupted gently. "Your mother has given me 15 years of loyalty, of kindness, of quiet support during some of the darkest days of my life after my wife died. She never asked for recognition or special treatment. She just showed up day after day, making my life better in 1,000 small ways. I never properly acknowledged." His own eyes grew damp. "This isn't charity. Sophia, this is me finally seeing what was right in front of me. This is me understanding that wealth means nothing if we don't use it to protect the people who make our lives possible." Sophia collapsed into a nearby chair, her body shaking with the force of her relief. Marcus sat beside her, this powerful man and struggling young woman, connected by a bond neither had known existed an hour ago. "There's more," Marcus continued. "I'm establishing a comprehensive healthcare program for all Wellington retail employees and their immediate families. If Rosa had felt comfortable coming to me, if any of my employees feel they can come to me when they're in crisis, we're doing something wrong, that changes today." The announcement rippled through the company in the following weeks. Marcus personally oversaw the implementation of the new healthcare initiative, the enhanced employee assistance programs, and the creation of an emergency relief fund. But more importantly, he made himself visible. He visited stores, learned names, listened to stories. He discovered dozens of Rosas, hardworking people who struggled in silence, who showed up despite personal tragedies, who never imagined their billionaire boss would care about their individual struggles. Rosa returned to work 3 months later, her treatment successful and her prognosis good. Marcus was there the day she came back, waiting in the kitchen of his home. When she saw him, her composure crumbled. "Mr. Wellington, I don't know how to thank you," she said, tears flowing. "You saved my life. You gave Sophia her mother back." Marcus shook his head, his own vision blurred. "Rosa, you've been saving me for 15 years. I was just too blind to see it. Thank you for teaching me that the measure of success isn't in the empire you build, but in whether you notice when someone in your empire is falling." That evening, Marcus invited both Rosa and Sophia to dinner at his home, not as employer and employees, but as family. They shared stories and laughter, and Marcus felt something shift in his chest, a warmth he hadn't experienced since his wife passed. He'd spent years building wealth, but he'd forgotten what it meant to build connection, to truly see the people who made his life possible. The story of Marcus Wellington's transformation spread beyond his company, inspiring other business leaders to examine their own relationships with employees. But for Marcus, the real change was personal. He'd learned that the greatest poverty isn't lack of money, it's lack of recognition, of compassion, of seeing the humanity in those who serve us daily. He'd learned that sometimes the most important business decision you can make has nothing to do with profit, margins, and everything to do with the courage to open your eyes to someone else's pain. And he'd learned it all from a young woman crying in his store and a mother who'd shown him what quiet dignity looks like every single day for 15 years.